This is Curtis coming at you from A-Spread Studios with some more football talk. Going back to the heart of my love, the Miami Dolphins. Unfortunately, this conversation is not going to be a happy one for me. We're going to talk about the Xavien Howard situation, which is metastasizing into something not good. And, I write for Phins News, and a lot of the Phins News fans, we all loved Xavien Howard. We all loved how quiet he was. We loved his play on the field, his ability to create impact. But slowly but surely, a lot of the fans that I've been talking to, at least from me, but a lot of the fans I've been talking to too, it's kind of slowly changing. And as the stories keep coming out now, it looks more and more like, if I was a betting man, the odds are Xavien Howard appears to be all but gone. Now, I hope I'm wrong, but we'll go through it. But it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. But to start off on a positive note, what a season Howard had last year. I mean, we have not seen that kind of impact, that kind of star power since Taylor's 2006 season. It was an epic. I mean, it's not as good as Taylor's 2006 season, but it was pretty close, pretty epic. 10 interceptions, 20 passes defended, both first in the NFL. PFF, 87.3 overall grade, second best in the NFL. Played all 16 games and was a huge reason, a primary reason, why the Dolphins had a surprising 10-6 season. Why they broke past expectations. Howard was just a major piece of that. And because he literally was a game-changing player. And we have not seen that kind of star potential in so long. And that's why it really makes it a shame, the situation. Now, to be fair, there's two sides to every story. And I'm going to try to present both sides. I was on one side, then I was on another side, then I came back again. Now I'm going to another direction. But we'll lay out all the whole situation and see, you can come to your own decision. So, as the story goes, midway through last season, as reported by Barry Jackson, Howard was having a very successful season. And he was becoming more and more perturbed that Byron Jones had signed a bigger contract than him. And he was actually saying that if you're not going to increase my pay, trade me. He was already talking about being traded. Now, the Dolphins could have traded him prior to that, but they didn't want to. They stuck with them. They decided, they understood what they had, which is kind of weird considering the situation. But Howard was already trying to make his way out midway through the 2020 season, as per Barry Jackson. Now, you compare the two seasons, they're not even close. So you look at Byron Jones, he had 2 interceptions and 4 passes defended. And PFF ranked him 63.6, which is 54th best corner. Now, we can get into why that is and what that is, but it's very clear that Howard was head and shoulders, even beyond that, of what Jones brought to the table. And so you can kind of see Howard's perspective in a way. But when you really dig into the situation, the context and the contracts, it kind of gets a little more dicey in my mind. And it really kind of leaves a little sour taste in my mouth. So let's actually go over the specifics of the contract. Now, Jones is 29, Howard is 28. When Jones was we'll start actually with Howard. Howard was signed in 2019, making him the highest paid cornerback in the game, with a $77 million and slightly more dollar contract with $46 million guaranteed. Okay, 27% of that, $27 million of that was fully guaranteed. So there was injury. If he was injured, it would have been the full 46. But there's ways he could have lost some of that fully, quote unquote, guaranteed money. But $27 million was absolutely 100% guaranteed. Okay, so it's a $77 million contract, $46 million in guarantees, and $27 million absolutely guaranteed. Now, Jones was given $82.5 million contract. So it's like a $5 million contract more than Howard's, but it's $46 million fully guaranteed. Fully. So you have 27 for Howard, 46 for Jones, and a $5 million more contract. Now, all the players, when you look at their total rankings, Jones is the 5th highest paid cornerback, and Howard is the 6th. Okay? Now, if you go by the 2020 season, it feels a little unjust. But again, it's more than just that, just one season. When you look at Howard and you go through his career and understand that it's a career that points a GM and a coach to say, we're going to spend this much, we're going to give this much. It's not just about one amazing season, which the contract was given before this amazing season. So if you go by PFF grade, roughly speaking, last year, Howard was second best corner. Year prior to that, he played 5 games and was terrible, wasn't even ranked. The year prior to that, 19th. Year prior to that, 78th. Year prior to that, 80th. Okay? Now that's 5 seasons. Now Jones, by PFF standards, he was last year 54th. Year prior to that, 14th. Then 11th, 57th, 24th, and 40th. So as a body of work, you would have to say that Jones has been the more consistent player. And then you add the primary factor. And talent, obviously, Howard is more talented. It's clear. It's clear. But consistency. And that consistency starts with health. Jones has missed 3 games in 6 seasons. 3 games. Now, Howard missed 9 games his rookie season. Right in camp, he already had knee problems. Then in his second season, his sophomore season, he played a full 16 games. Things were looking up. Like, all right, he's past that now. But then the following season, he missed 4 games. Okay? And then the season after that, he missed 11 games. Now, after his first 3 seasons in 2019, the Dolphins committed to him with very little body of work behind him. I mean, you look at his first 3 seasons before he got that mega contract, and it wasn't based on production. It was based on potential. And they made him the highest paid cornerback, and they only gave him $27 million guaranteed because obviously this kid's battling bad knees. Okay? So they had opportunities to trade him in 2019. They didn't. Stayed away from that. Signed to the new contract. And what happened? He missed 11 games. And in the games he did play, he was hampered. He was a shadow of himself. Okay? So then he goes into the offseason. Well, prior to going to the offseason, according to Omar Kelly, he had a very exotic, risky, advanced procedure done. It's nothing is said of what it is. Probably stem cells maybe or something. I don't know. But it's an experimental, risky procedure done on his knees because without it, obviously, this is who he was. Finished. And thank the lucky stars for him, for the Dolphins, this procedure blossomed. Howard was finally able to be Howard, and look at the season he had. What an amazing season. But think about it. It took this procedure to get him to be what he was, because his knees were in such bad shape. But the Dolphins committed to him a lot of guaranteed money. Dolphins stuck behind him after the whole domestic abuse thing came out. And then he goes into a season and he has an amazing season. But we really don't know what the long-term ramifications are for his knees. How long will this surgery last? Is it a permanent thing, or is it going to be a return of issues? And so from the Dolphins' perspective, they love Howard. They've stuck by him. They've through everything. They gave him guarantees when his knees were shot. But the reality is there's so much inconsistency. And when you think about it, even in his best season, midway through, he's already wanting more money. He's already demanding to be traded, as per Barry Jackson. He's already disgruntled and unhappy. He wasn't disgruntled when they gave him a huge contract on bad knees. What happened if that experimental surgery didn't go through? Miami Dolphins gave Jones an overinflated contract because that's what corners get, because he's consistent. They gave Howard a big contract, made him the number one paid because of potential. Now that potential has an attachment to it of inconsistency and concern. And it's more than just the knees. You know, Byron Jones didn't have a great year last year, but he had a leg injury. Okay? And I'm sure, given his prior 2 seasons, this had played into it in some degree. So, we hope Jones could have an excellent season again this year. Howard, though, you don't have to just worry about the knees. But like, he had the domestic issue, the demand for trade halfway through your first good season in 5 years. A really good season. And then you had reports of gunfire at his agent's house where the police had to arrive. And then you have him missing camp. And now it's being reported from Barry Jackson, both that he's going to hold out from training camp or maybe not. Someone close to his camp, who's close to him, says he's not coming. And somebody says that, maybe he will. It's not just the body. Now, to Howard's perspective, Flores and Greer, if they knew how serious he was, then it's on them. If he told them prior to the draft, hey man, I'm holding out. Hey, if you don't pay me, then it's on them. But if he didn't make it abundantly clear before the draft how serious he was, then in essence he's holding the Dolphins' 2021 season hostage, because Brian Flores' defense depends on 2 quality cornerbacks. Without Howard, the legs of this season will be undercut. And, it's part of the reason why, I hate to say, I did the video. I said, listen, let's be realistic about 2021 because, anything can happen. Never thought about this. I didn't even hear the stories about him demanding a trade in 2020. Didn't hear any of it. Didn't even register on my radar. But without Howard, if Howard is serious, okay, so he doesn't come to training camp, doesn't come to preseason. Let's say he goes all the way, holds out for the first couple of games, and then are the Dolphins going to bring him in where a guy with bad knees who's not fully up to speed? And if without him, Nick Needham, Noah, neither one of them could play the boundaries. They'd be a victim. Look how bad we were without Byron Jones, even with Howard. So the whole season is being held hostage by Howard. Now, if he made his intentions known prior to the draft, I absolve him that. I mean, that's fair. That's smart ball. And I would blame Greer and Flores, but we'll never know. We'll never know. But what is clear now, at this stage, is Brian Flores says, I want guys that are team first. Clearly, Howard is focusing on himself. He has every right to. He's a free, you don't have to be Mr. Team first. I prefer that. I'd want that. But it's a business. I mean, the Dolphins have kind of like made their own bet a little bit by cutting Van Noy, cutting this. They'll cut you and get rid of you. So they've been mercenary and kind of lacking loyalty to a certain degree. But they paid their bills. But Howard is clearly did the Sun Tzu art of war and waited till the Dolphins were possibly at their weakness, and he had his most power. And Brian Flores, how is he supposed to sell team first? I mean, is he going to give Howard what he wants? I mean, what is that? Another 40, 50 million guaranteed? Maybe $20 million a year? I mean, was Jalen Ramsey's making like 20, 21 or something? What are you going to pay him, $22, $23 million a year in possibly a falling cap era? I mean, how much money can you invest in quarterback? Let's say Tua gets himself together and all of a sudden he becomes a good quarterback. You're going to have to pay him out in 3 years. Jackson's going to come due if he ends up being a good left tackle. I mean, you have Van Ginkel. All these cheap players are going to start to come due. And can you carry that? How many plays are you going to lose for Howard? What if Howard's knees and his experimental surgery is just a short-term thing? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Do you know how strapped this team could be? How is Flores supposed to sell that? How is Flores supposed to digest that? It's a very, very sticky situation. And without Howard, the 2021 season, the heights of it definitely have to be cut down. But in my mind, this team's about the future. You got Tua going into his first real season. You got Jackson. You got Van Ginkel. Noah, he had a hard year last year. Did a video on it. A little concerned. But he's a young guy. You look at him in, 2-3 years from now. This is a young team. It's not about just this year. It's about developing the talent. Keep building this team out. For me, 2022 is when I start having expectations. But how can you do that carrying $20-something million at cornerback and then another 16 at the other cornerback position? That's a lot of money. So for me, the future is more important, sad to say, than Xavien Howard. Maybe Xavien Howard will back down. Maybe Xavien Howard will say, I'll give you another year at the end of next year. And maybe it works out. But if Xavien Howard plays hardball, I don't see how he can stay. I don't see how Flores can sell his team concept. And I don't see how they can, from a team building standpoint, support that kind of money invested at the two cornerbacks. So for me, if Howard relents, and he has another good year like this, I'd say there's no problem paying the guy. You got to find something, do whatever, But at this point, the uncertainty around the knees, uncertainty around his character in some regards, and concerns that this team is a team for the future, I would trade Xavien Howard for the future. Get your picks, get whatever, set the team concept. That's my take. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Definitely a hard situation. Such a sticky situation. This is the Miami Dolphins front office bent over a barrel and stuck in the tailpipe of a pickle. This is a brutal position if Xavien Howard plays hardball. But we'll see how it goes. Let's hope that training camp rolls around. Howard has a change of heart. Things work out. And he's ready to go. Because other than that, it's going to get sticky, folks. It will get sticky. So this is Curtis. I wish I had better news on the situation. It kind of hurts my heart as I go over it. I'm feeling like sticky inside and like unhappy just because it's such a big thing. But this is, again, thank you for staying to the end. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I need a box of tissues over here. I think I'm starting to get misty-eyed over the sadness of this. So anyway, please like, comment, and subscribe. I want to hear your comments, see what your thoughts are. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I didn't. But thank you again. This is Curtis. Be well. See you soon.